All right, Shalom. I'd like to start out by saying Kyle Halayim La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Harakak Wadash, my mouth. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth with sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. I'm Kanak Sha'an Bar Yasharala from the Lions Den of Yasharala Camp. And this is going to be a brief lesson on dealing with this article that I'm reading. And the title says, United States Air Division deploying soldiers as Kremlin says Russia, NATO at war. All right, so the Kremlin just got attacked a couple of days ago. All right, so now Russia is saying, Russia says NATO's at war. So Russia and NATO, is going like that's going into Revelation 13. It says, for who is like unto the beast, who can make war with the beast? And the bear is the one that's going to make war with the beast, all right, and be equipped enough to destroy the beast, all right, which is NATO. Well, it's NATO, and you got the United States and the European Union mixed all up into it, all right. So, Lord, willing, this lesson is edifying and serves its purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, that look forward to these prophecies to come forth, because that's our way out of here. Scripture say you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. All right, so that's letting us know that our salvation is nigh. All right, so it says United States Air Division deploying soldiers as Kremlin says NATO at war. All right, it says soldiers from a United States Air Assault Division that arrived in Europe in the late July are being sent to NATO members in the Eastern Europe to help protect the military alliance eastern flank. The United States mission to NATO announced Thursday as Russia fuels concerns that its war could widen beyond Ukraine, and we're already witnessing that happening because Russia already stated that it has a mark on the countries that supply and bring aid to Ukraine during this war. So basically, he's saying they're just as involved in this war by sending aid as Ukraine is in the heat of the battle. So this is what you're witnessing. What we're witnessing is like part of Revelation chapter 13 coming to pass. All right, because you said at the hold on, let me get it real quick. I don't want to. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. It says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his head 10 crowns, and upon his head the names of blasphemy." All right. So that's all the 27 nations that came together, all wrapped up into one, right? And they got all kinds of wickedness that they're about, So verse 2, it says, "And the beast which I saw was like unto the leopard, and his feet were like unto a bear." The leopard is where it started with Alexander and the Greeks, all right? And the bear is where it's going to end with Russia. It says, "And his mouth was like the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave his power and his seat and great authority." All right? And that lion is talking about Britain. All right? So let me keep going because the point is in 4. Verse 3, it says, "And I saw one of his heads as if he were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." And that's talking about Rome. All right, it says, "And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him?" Right. So, who's able to make war with the beast, man? Who's able to make war with NATO? This big powerhouse infrastructure, which you know, uses America, you know, being the hammer of the earth, they're swinging that hammer. Them in the European Union. All right. So who is like unto the beast? Who is like unto NATO? Who is like unto Rome? You know. So now, according to Ezekiel 38, the spirit of the Medes is going to be lifted up in Russia. Well, you know, Isaiah 13 and Jeremiah 51, I think, all state that the spirit of the Medes shall rise up against. Matter of fact, let me get Isaiah 13 and 16. It's Isaiah 13 and 17. It says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So, right. So, that's talking about Russia coming up against Babylon the Great, which is America. And they're the hammer that's being swung on the earth to persecute all the nations, man. All right, this is the whore that rideth upon the beast. All right, which ultimately is going to bring out all-out war between all of them. That's why it says, because America's a part of NATO, so it would be America. It would be, because America is a part of that beast. So them going to war is with any European country that's a part of NATO is going to bring America in the war. It has to because that is part of their whole NATO system. All right, and it's going back to the article. It says the mission said that nearly 2,400 soldiers would be sent to NATO members Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Slovakia to assure our alliance and deter our adversaries. Right. So now, who is the adversary? The bear, the one that's going to go up against the beast, the one that's going to be accompanied with a bunch of nations, according to Ezekiel 38. It says the day before, Sergei Kiriyenko, the first deputy chief of the Russian presidential staff, alleged that the West was conducting a hot military operation against Russia and Ukraine. All right, that's a provocation of war. It says, we understand very well that on the territory of Ukraine, we are not at war with Ukraine, and of course, not with Ukrainians. Russia's state-owned news agency TASS quoted him saying, the entire NATO bloc is fighting a war against Russia on the territory of Ukraine and by the Ukrainians' hands. Right, because this is about the West pushing east and annexing all these countries from that were once part of the Soviet Union. Once again, going back into Ezekiel 38, this is all transpiring right before our eyes. All right, so that's Yahweh Shemi. I was trying to put the hooks into their jaws to bring them back. And when they're brought back, they're going to be brought back to the old Soviet Union. Once you see that sickle and that star flag flying, that's the Soviet Union flag. All right, once you see that, watch when you start seeing that flying, that's going to be that banner to let you know the Soviet Union is back. All right, so now that's so matter of fact, let me get Revelation chapter 20, because all this was done, all power was given unto the beast, all power was given unto Esau, just for their own downfall, for the great battle when Babylon the Great falls. This is Revelation chapter 20, verse 7. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Right, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. All right, he's gonna expand out of Europe, out of the bottomless pit, and he's gonna go and he's gonna be a free vagabond on the earth, going from continent to continent, not keeping at home. All to bring forth, to deceive the nations and bring forth the judgment on them by Yahweh by Shemi Yahushua. Verse 7, it says, and when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, and gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Right, so that's Ezekiel 38 prophecy being brought to pass by the deception of Esau upon the whole world after he got loosed out of his prison for those 1,000 years when he was shut up in his prison by Yahweh Shai, right? And he went out in perdition to deceive the nations. And he was given a great sword when he went out. You see what I'm saying? So the Lord, and he went out for all this was being brought forth for his destruction. Okay? So now Russia is saying they understand they're not fighting against Ukraine and Ukrainians. They're fighting against America and NATO through Ukraine. All right, it says, back to the article, it says, fears have been mounting that Russia's ongoing war could spread beyond Ukraine borders, potentially sparking a larger confrontation between the 30-member NATO alliance and Russian President Vladimir Putin's forces. All right, those forces, they didn't say just Russia's armies, he said his forces. So he has more than Russia that's going to be backing him. Iran's going to back them. China's going to ultimately back them. North Korea is going to back them. That's a lot within itself. I think, it's been said like France might jump ship, So Russia's not going to be, Russia's going to have some backing with him. It says, while Putin himself has not said that Russia and NATO are at war and no official declarations have been made, he has warned in recent months that any countries that create a strategic threat to Russia, meaning trying to low-key attack Russia through supplying aid to Ukraine during the Ukraine offense, can expect retaliatory strikes. So he's already declared war. It says, in April, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov suggested in a Russian state television interview that the West providing weapons to Ukraine, NATO is essentially going to war with Russia through a proxy and arming that proxy, according to the Wall Street Journal. On Wednesday, Kiriyenko also accused Ukrainian leaders of allowing the nation and its people to become a proxy NATO, TASS reported. A proxy of NATO. Right. So that's all it is. So while the whole world has the wool pulled over their eyes, they're deceived by thinking that Russia's a bad guy, that America should go in and help the Ukrainians with physical forces. America is the one that's fighting this war against Russia through Ukraine. So initially, America and Ukraine are the bad guys, and Russia is defending themselves because they were trying to form around and be in their back door. That's why they were trying to get Ukraine part of NATO. And Russia had to go to war to put a stop. They were defending themselves. But that's the deception with the dollar. All this is going back to the dollar and the creation of the dollar, creation of the establishment of America. All right? From that all the way to this point. All right? So back to the article real quick. It says they provided the territory of Ukraine and the people of Ukraine in an attempt to build a fundamental confederation between the Western community against Russia on that territory. He said, of course, NATO will be eagerly fighting as they themselves do not hesitate to declare against Russia to the last Ukrainian and without a trace of remorse. All right, so America don't have a remorse for anybody, man. It says, while NATO has not become directly involved in the war, member states have provided to war-torn countries with security assistance and weapons, such as the U.S. supplied high-mobility artillery rocket systems, or HIMARS, which has drawn much media attention recently for its success in aiding the Ukrainian forces. Right. So that's man. You can tell that's America going to war with Russia. America and NATO going to war with Russia. It says the U.S. Army describes the Screaming Eagle as an airborne division recognized for its unmatched air assault capability, its ability to execute any combat or contingency mission anywhere in the world. Wow. So that's the aid that America is providing, man. So there it is. Who can make war with the beast? Who can go to war? Who is like unto the beast? Who can go to war with the beast? And we're witnessing being established right now in Russia, or when it's turned back into the Soviet Union. All right. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and serves purposes that are like Sekah Halayim La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Harakah Kwadash, my Amon. Double honors to my elder apostles, to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.